Have you ever wondered why you keep ending up in the exact same kind of relationship pain, even when the person changes? Why some people can't seem to get close, no matter how much someone loves them, while others cling so tightly, they accidentally push love away. And then there are those who flip between the two, terrified of abandonment one day and desperate for space the next. If you've ever laid awake at night asking, "Why do I do this to the people I love most?" You're not broken. You're not crazy. You're just living out an attachment style you probably learned before you were old enough to tie your shoes. And the most hopeful part, once you truly see it, you can heal it. I'm the intimacy doctor, real talk, real science, real intimacy. Let's start with the moment everything clicked for me, because I want you to feel how life-changing this understanding can be. Years ago, I was sitting across from a couple who, on paper, should have been perfect together, both kind, both successful, both desperately in love. Yet every conversation ended in tears or silence. She would reach for closeness, and he would freeze. He would finally open up, and she would panic that it wasn't enough. They were exhausted. I was exhausted watching them. Then I asked one simple question. When you were little and you were scared or hurt, who comforted you and how? The room went still. She started crying because no one ever came. He looked away because when he answered, I learned pretty quick not to need anyone. In that moment I saw it. They weren't failing at love. They were speaking two completely different emotional languages they'd been taught before they could even spell the word love. That's the power of understanding the 4 attachment styles. They're not labels to put people in boxes. They're maps that show us where we got lost in childhood, and more importantly, how to find our way back to secure, trusting, deeply connected love. So let's walk through them together, slowly, gently, the way I would if you were sitting right here with me. And as we go, notice which one makes your chest tighten a little. That tightening, that's information. Your body remembers what your mind might have tried to forget. The first style is what we call secure attachment. About half of adults have this one, and if you do, you probably take it for granted until you date someone who doesn't. People with secure attachment grew up believing the world is generally safe, and that their needs matter. When they were upset, someone usually showed up, not perfectly, but good enough. So now, as adults, they can reach for closeness without panic. They can ask for what they need without shame-free. They can handle conflict without thinking the whole relationship is doomed. They trust, but not blindly. They trust because their nervous system learned early that love is reliable. If you're watching this and thinking, wait, people actually feel that calm in relationships, I want you to know, yes. And that calm love is not a fairy tale. It's a skill set that can be learned. We'll come back to that. Then there's anxious attachment. If this is you, you might have nodded hard when I talked about clinging or flipping into panic when someone pulls away. Anxious attachment usually forms when caregiving was unpredictable. There were moments of incredible warmth, but they were unpredictable. One day, mom or dad was fully present. The next day, they were distracted, depressed, or gone. So the child learns, I have to stay on high alert. If I cry louder, perform better, or love harder, maybe they'll stay. Fast forward to adult relationships, and silence from a partner for 3 hours can feel like abandonment. A small disagreement can spiral into you don't love me anymore. The core fear, if I'm not perfect or constantly connected, I'll be left. And the exhausting part is, the more anxious you feel that fear, the more they reach, check, ask for reassurance, which can unfortunately push partners away, confirming the very fear they're trying to escape. Across from anxious sits avoidant attachment, sometimes called dismissive avoidant. These are the people who learned very early that depending on others is dangerous. Maybe emotions were mocked, needs were burdens, or the message was figure it out yourself. So they built high walls and called it strength. As adults, they often pride themselves on independence. I don't need anyone becomes both armor and prison. When someone tries to get close, their nervous system screams threat. Intimacy starts to feel like suffocation. They might disappear for days after a deep conversation, pick fights to create distance, or keep one foot out the door just in case. their deepest fear. If I truly let someone in, I'll lose myself or worse. They'll see I'm not enough and leave. So they leave first. And then there's the fourth style, the one that only about 5% of people have, but it shows up in relationships like a hurricane, fearful, avoidant, sometimes called disorganized. This style forms in the scariest environments, where the person who is supposed to comfort you was also the source of fear, chaos, abuse, or terror. The child's brain gets a devastating mixed message. The safest place is with my caregiver, but my caregiver hurts me. So they're caught in an impossible bind, drawn toward connection and terrified of it at the same time. In adult relationships, fearful, avoidant people crave closeness more than anyone, but the moment they get it, terror floods in. They might swing wildly between I need you and get away from me. They test partners relentlessly, sometimes without realizing it, because part of them believes if you can survive my chaos, maybe you're safe. But another part is convinced everyone will eventually hurt them. It's heartbreaking, and it's also profoundly healable with the right support. Pause here with me for a second. Which one of these felt familiar? Maybe a little too familiar. Drop a single word in the comments: secure, anxious, avoidant, or fearful. Avoidant, just so you know you're not alone. I read every single comment, and I promise you'll see hundreds of people sharing the same word. There's something powerful about realizing millions of us are walking around with the same hidden wounds. Now here's the part that changed everything for my own life and for thousands of people I've worked with. Attachment styles are not life sentences. They're patterns, and patterns can shift. The brain is plastic. Your nervous system can relearn safety. You can move toward earned secure attachment, no matter where you started, and the research backs this up beautifully. Studies out of places like the Adult Attachment Lab at Columbia and decades of work from Dr. Sue Johnson and Dr. Dan Siegel show that with self-awareness, intentional practice, and often the right kind of relationship, people can and do heal their attachment wounds. I've watched dismissive men learn to reach for their wives instead of shutting down. I've watched anxious women learn to soothe themselves instead spiraling when their partner needs space. I've watched fearful, avoidant people finally believe they're worthy of steady love. It's not magic. It's science meets courage. So how do we actually do it? Let's talk about the practical path, the one you can start today. First, and this is non-negotiable, name your style without shame. Self-awareness is the doorway to everything else. When you can catch yourself in an old pattern and say, oh, there's my anxious part freaking out because silence used to mean danger, or there's my avoidant part wanting to run because closeness used to feel unsafe, you create a tiny gap between impulse and reaction. That gap is where choice lives. Second, learn your triggers and soothe them like you would a scared child, because that's exactly what they are. When your heart starts racing because your partner hasn't texted back, pause and ask, what am I actually afraid of right now? Then give yourself what you needed back then. A hand on your chest, slow breaths, kind words, I'm safe now. I'm not that little kid anymore. It's okay to feel this, and I've got me. Sounds simple, almost too simple, but fMRI studies show that naming and soothing emotions this way actually calms the amygdala, your brain's fear center, in under 90 seconds. Third, practice repair over rupture. Secure relationships aren't the ones without conflict. They're the ones that know how to come back together after. If you're anxious, practice giving your partner the benefit of the doubt for 5 minutes before you assume the worst. If you're avoidant, practice staying in the conversation for 5 minutes longer than your instinct tells you to. 5 minutes of courage compounds into a lifetime of connection. Fourth, surround yourself with secure people whenever possible. Security is contagious. The more you experience relationships where emotions are welcome, needs are normal, and repair is swift, the more your nervous system updates its template of what love looks like. And fifth, consider therapy, especially modalities designed for attachment like emotionally focused therapy or somatic experiencing. A good therapist isn't there to fix you, they're there to co-regulate with you until you can do it for yourself. Think of it like training wheels for secure love. I want to say this gently but clearly. Healing your attachment style is some of the most important emotional health work you will ever do. It doesn't just change your romantic relationships. It changes how you parent, how you show up at work, how you treat your own body, how deeply you allow yourself to feel joy. When you feel safe being seen, you stop hiding your light. So if this video stirred something in you, if you're sitting there with tears or tightness in your throat or quiet, finally, someone gets it, please do 3 quick things for me and for everyone watching. First, hit the like button. It sounds small, but it helps this message reach more people who are quietly suffering with the same questions you had before today. Second, subscribe and turn on the bell because we're going deep this year, real science, real tools, no fluff, on everything from how to rebuild trust after betrayal to why great sex starts in nervous system, not the bedroom. And third, watch the next video that's popping up right now. It's called The One Conversation That Heals Anxious, Avoidant Relationships. And if you recognized yourself or your partner in anything I said today, that video is going to feel like someone finally handed you the instruction manual you've been missing your whole life. You deserve love that feels like home, not love you have to audition for, or shrink for, or chase until you're empty. Love that says, I see all of you, and I'm still here. That love exists. And the path to it starts with the bravest thing any of us can do, looking gently and honestly at where we got hurt, and choosing to heal it, and believing, really believing, that we're worthy of being loved exactly as we are. I'm the Intimacy Doctor, and I'm so glad you're here. See you in the next one.